today I've got a really rare opportunity where I've got a few hours off work. I haven't got a match today, and I just thought I'd bring you along to a fishery that's not far from where I live. It's only about 35 miles away from where I live in Sheffield. It's a fishery that's got loads of different fish in it. You know, there's lots of skimmers here, lots of bream, lots of carp as well, some big-eyed. And I just thought it'd be an ideal opportunity just to come along and have a session and just kind of try and catch fish on one line at different depths. As you can see, it's a lovely sunny day. It's a beautiful looking fishery as well. I mean, it's in its prime right now with the time of year and everything. You can probably tell it looks beautiful. It's about 10 feet deep where I'm going to be fishing today, but I'm going to fish down one line, but I'm going to show you two different approaches where you can kind of target that area or that line. We're going to be fishing on the bottom, but up in the water as well. And as the session progresses, hopefully we're going to see a change in the way that the fish are feeding and the way that we can catch them. Really looking forward to it. I've just got two rods set up. Hopefully the weather's going to stay like this, so it'll give us a chance just to go through this approach, and let's just see if it works. See, it's a nice open water peg. I can only go out about 25 metres. If I go past that, I'm going to be going over halfway, and if anyone comes on the other bank, then obviously I don't want to interfere with them. So I'm going to be fishing one line. It's about 20 metres. It's about 10 feet deep there, so I'm just going to set up two rods, one for fishing on the bottom and one for fishing up in the water, and just try and encourage the fish to come up in the water, and hopefully where, you know, it's going to give us a chance of catching them on pellets. And, you know, I'm expecting a few carp and a few eyed as well. Well, to tackle the peg, I'm just going to have set up two 11-foot rods. I've got the 11-foot pellet master, and that's just coupled with a 4000 Aquas reel, 6-pound main line. I'm going to use that for fishing the waggler up in the water at different depths. Hopefully we're going to be catching some fish on that towards the end of the session. But to kick off the session, I'm going to start off with the 11-foot Horizon Carp feeder, again a 4000 reel. I'm only going to be casting 20 metres, so that's all you need. A nice little compact reel, 6-pound main line, and I'm going to fish over that with some form of a method feeder, I think, or a pellet feeder. And I'm going to be fishing that on exactly the same line that I'm going to be loose feeding the pellets. So we're going to start early on the deck, on the bottom, loose feeding pellets, try and get the fish up in the water, where hopefully we're going to have loads of fish on it towards the end of the session. Fish with a method feeder, that's pretty much straightforward, the rig itself. I'll show you that in a little while. As regards the pellet waggler, I like to use the attachments. A lot of companies do them now. I obviously use the matrix ones, and they're really easy just to slide on the line, and it gives you the option of being able to adjust the depth throughout the session. And because there's 3 grippers below the actual waggler itself, if you have got to punch the waggler or put a heavier waggler on, really easy to put on. You just simply slide them onto the line. So for a session like this, it's no secret that the main bait is going to be pellet. This particular fishery allows you to use your own pellets. Whenever possible, I do so, and I use the Carp and Coarse pellet range. I just think they're fantastic for venues where you can use your own pellets, and they're quite versatile as well, which is brilliant. So I've got some 2mm versions. I'm going to soak them down and use them just around the feeder to kick off the session. Don't need many of those. So they're 2mm. I'll use them just on their own. And then my feed for the pellet waggler line, for what I'm going to be feeding over the top, are going to be the 6mm versions of the same pellet. 8mm can be great as well, especially if you're targeting bigger carp or you've got to feed further out, but I'm only feeding 20 metres today, and 6mm less selective as well. I know sometimes they can catch the big eyed on pellet as well, so you'll want to catch them as well if they're in the swim. So I've got plenty of 6mm with me. I've got a little bit of ground bait just in case I can't catch with just pellet round the feeder to start the session with. I'll switch to ground bait as well, or a ground bait and pellet combination, because there's a lot of skimmers and bream in here, and we'll take those if they're there, if there are no carp down on the bottom. So that's another option. And then the hook baits, I've got a selection of hard pellets, different sizes that I can try on the band, both on the feeder and on the waggler. So there's a nice selection of sizes there. And something that I don't hear many people doing anyway with the pellet waggler is using a wafter. Wafters are obviously, you know, they're semi-buoyant, you know, and they're just fantastic, slow falling bait, and that's exactly what you're after with a waggler. So I'll be switching to those on the band as well throughout the session, just to see if we can pick off some better fish. And that's it, really nice and simple. Like I say, it's going to be all about the pellet, and I'm going to use these exactly how they are at the moment. I'm not going to do anything to them. I can boost them throughout the session with various stick mixers and things, but I'm going to kick off them in the natural form and just see what kind of response we get. First cast, just on an 8mm wafter. I've just seen a couple of fish moving on them pellets already, so I'm just going to keep on feeding it. Great start. We've been fishing for an hour now, and I can't believe it, we've only had that one carp. I've had loads of line bites. There's obviously fish up in the water. Whether we're going to be able to catch them or not is a different issue. So I'm going to come off the method now and go over with that waggler. I've seen one or two fish moving about. I think some of them are eyed. There's one or two carp kicking about as well, but I'm just going to start off at about 3 foot and just take it from there. So I'm going to set off at about 3 feet deep. I think that's going to be a little bit too deep, but I'm going to start there and then work my way up. My choice of waggler, I'm going to kick off with a nice straight loaded waggler. This one is 6 gram. It's a little bit too heavy for where I am, but that's going to allow me to just go past as well if I've got to search around that feed area for fish. Like I say, I'm going to kick off with it. It's about 3 feet deep. I'm pretty sure that's too deep, but I'm going to start there. If the fish are shallower than that, I either won't catch with this rig, or I might get line bites as well, and that's obviously a signal for me to shallow up. I think this waggler might be a little bit too long. It might dive down a little bit deeper than I want if they are in that really shallow water. If they are in that shallow water, which is what I fully expect, then I shall switch this waggler for one of these. That's just classed as a small. It's loaded again, and I've caught a lot of fish with these floats on this venue when I've literally had to fish about that deep. You know, the design of that, obviously that makes it incredibly easy to see, but the idea of that is A, it stops the waggler diving down deep after the cast, so it just lands on the surface, and the weight of the float just cocks it like that. And then because it's not streamlined, when you do get a bite, there's some resistance there which causes the fish to hook itself against that buoyancy of that top of the waggler there. So it's a self-hooking rig, and it's great for fishing, you know, really shallow, which is what I kind of expect to happen at some stage during this session.
Hooked in the top lip. Lovely fish. fish are really shallow, and you know, they've been a little bit too shallow to catch. I've upped my feed now. I'm just trying to force them into making a mistake, and what I'm doing now is I've tried loads of different ways of feeding, but now it's just by putting one big pouch in and just dragging my float back into it. You're really just getting about 10 seconds to get a bite. After that, you'll just sit there and just not get a bite at all. They're taking it as soon as it hits the surface, and if they don't take it then, you just don't get a bite. So there are some better carp there. Had 2 or 3 bream on it as well, a couple of roach. It's just great to be getting a reaction now. Nice stamp of fish. Really fight hard as well.
Well, them carp are really coming to it now. It's just that simple routine. A lot of this sort of fishing is about trying to get a rhythm together about feeding and that sort of thing. I think it was Steve Ringer who once said he loved this sort of fishing because it always rewarded, or usually rewarded, the hardest working angler. This is another carp. I just fed about 20 pellets, about a metre short of my float, and just brought the waggler back into where the feed was, and the rod just went round, you know, it just kind of tricking them into taking it. They're very weary fish. A lot of people fish this method on here during summer. It gets a bit of a hammering, and fish obviously wise up, you know. Hard fighting fish. That's it, lovely. It's just great to get a reward for all the hard work, you know. I've gone 2 hours with virtually nothing, you know. I've just not been able to work it out. Tried loads of different feeding rhythms and patterns. This was, well, there's the proof, you know. It's working now, and it's tricking these older carp into taking the bait. Lovely chunky fish, beautiful. Soon rack a weight up if you can get them queuing up, especially when they take the bait so quick. Brilliant, exciting, busy fishing. Well, that's one of the hide that I was telling you about. As you can see, they go up to about £4 in here. Catch them on the pellet, shallow at this time of year. Beautiful, lively fish. Just on a banded pellet. Exactly the same pellet as what I'm feeding, so it's a 6mm carp and coarse. There you go. Beautiful fish. I strongly suspect, you know, that's what's been taking some of the pellets off the surface as soon as they hit the surface when I've fed.
carp now, it's just by feeding a pouch of bait just short of your float, and then just bring your float back into that feed. Same size pellet that what I'm feeding is on the band as well. I think that's a pretty little fish to finish on. There's quite a lot of fish out there now, and I've really fed about 2 kilos of pellets, I'd say, which is quite heavy for this sort of fishing, because usually I like to just feed little and often and just try and starve them onto the hook, but that's just not worked today. Lovely fish to finish on. I'm going to call it a day on that, but what I'll do is just give you a quick summary about how today has actually gone. Well, it's been a great session. I don't get a chance to fish like this very often. I used to fish like this quite a lot, but these days obviously everything really revolves around feeder fishing. Only had one carp in that first hour, as you saw, on the method feeder, and then I've come back to about 18 metres. It was 20 metres that I was fishing, but I've come back a little bit just because that wind, it keeps circulating around and it's coming into a face a little bit, so it was a bit difficult to feed at that range. But took ages. It took probably 2 hours to try and work that waggler line out. I was feeding a little bit too lightly at the beginning. I think that was the case. So I've upped the feed, come shallower. I've tried all sorts of different feeding patterns. As you can see, the wind's circling a little bit, which has made presenting it a little bit difficult, but like I say, I came back into about 18 metres, and that's really it. I've had some big-eyed, had some roach, had some bream, and some carp as well that you've seen. But it's been a really good session. Like I say, I've only been able to catch with a 6mm pellet on the hook, which is exactly the same as what I've been feeding, and that's something that we can see on a lot of pressured waters. You know, the fish are wised up to bigger baits, brighter baits, and you've got to almost try and trick them onto the hook, and it looks like that's what's happened today. Like I say, I mean, it's a fantastic venue. It's not been a match, it's just been a session, bit of a workout. It's not often I get a chance to get out with tackle like this, and I just thought it to be something a little bit different for you and the subscribers to watch. So thanks for watching, really appreciate it. Had a fantastic day's fishing, and if you like videos like this, please click like and share, and obviously the more likes and shares we get, the more videos like this I'll produce. So thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do, just click the subscribe button down there. That way you'll get put in the loop with all these videos. Thanks for watching, really appreciate it, and I'll see you in a couple of days.